Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Takes a big sip of coffee.
Yeah.
I made it. I just brewed it up.
Good morning.
So, welcome. Good morning. This is the GI Joe 3D Printing Podcast. I'm here with Mike Kleppinger, Artwan Poor, and our special guest, Carson Mataxis from 3D Joe's and
What's up,
Operation
guys?
Recall.
How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
Doing great. How are you
I'm
guys
having-
doing?
I'm having a bit of a fanboy moment with you guys because I've watched a lot of your content, but I haven't been on yet.
Aw.
So you know how that goes.
No, not really.
No, we don't.
We don't really get a lot of fanboy
We had
moments. No.
fans?
No,
Wow.
no, I will counter that because I had Mark on a call with Kirk Bazigian, and that whole call was a fanboy moment for Mark. So I know you've.
Really? Wow.
Well, that's me. Okay.
That's what I define as a fanboy moment when you're around people that you respect and admire, and like I've had a few of them, and it's always awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Oh, we'll take it.
Thank you.
So today's topic is JOEFEST. Now, normally we talk about a 3D printing topic, and it's all kind of Joe themed. But today we take a little bit of a break from the typical 3D design, 3D printing. We'll get into it a bit, but mostly we're going to be talking about JOEFEST, which is just like 3.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
it's a little daunting, right?
Yeah, it is.
Everybody feels the pressure as you build up to it.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I know on our end, when you're trying to bring some stuff to the show or getting prepared for panels and things like that, yeah, it's a little daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So should we take a quick minute and talk about what everybody's trying to bring?
Yep.
With no promises, like no 100%,
Oh
solid-
yeah, like no kidding. I think we're all bringing stuff, so we might as well
Yeah.
take this opportunity to shamelessly plug our own shit.
Well, I think, honestly, it's exciting for the people that are coming to know what's coming, what's going to be there. It just
Yeah.
builds a little anticipation.
Yeah.
Cool.
You
want to go first then, Juan?
I'll go first.
Okay, let me get you
even though-
up on the main screen. Boom.
Even though I'm gonna have to find something to actually show. Give me 1 second.
Maybe he shouldn't have gone first.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Didn't know that was coming up so soon. But I'm just bringing some figures, some things that I kind of normally bring to not necessarily pedal, but show off. Sometimes I get a few buyers out at JOEFEST. So this year, my main theme has been like the Maverick
Nice.
figure. I've been doing a lot of different variations. So this is my Pilot Maverick that, if we can kind of see that I kind of did up to sort of pair with the new Sky Strikers coming out and all the different sticker kits and stuff that kind of go with it. The movie, things like that. I will be bringing also the Officer Maverick.
Nice.
In his dress whites.
That's awesome.
And then I'm also tweaking a design for a sort of like the bomber jacket Maverick with a motorcycle.
Oh,
So
nice.
just if you catch me around, I'll have a bunch of different little figures on deck. So that's that's what JOEFEST is kind of about. Just like obviously we'll be down on the showroom floor and things like that, but there's so much that goes on off the floor that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
So
I think the highlight of last year for me was just like spontaneously, I ended up drinking with Arthur Burkhart at the bar on the first night of the convention. For those who don't know, it's Destro, and he was wild, man. Like Arthur Burkhart was cutting it up, man. It was a good time.
I think I rode in the elevator with him about a dozen times, just randomly. He must have just been going up and down a lot, but he's never quiet.
No.
He's always going. He's always on.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because if you didn't know this, one of the guys from the group, Tom, is a member of the Finest. And at last year's JOEFEST, he was actually his handler. He was the guy that all the time with him.
Yeah.
So, and he was also you met him real quick, Mark. He was the guy. I forgot what he was dressed as, maybe a Viper, but he brought his miniature collection by your table.
I remember, because I had come down. I was at I must have been at the Action Force panel. I was at a panel, and I came down, and he was standing. You were there. He was there. I walked up, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. He'd built like it was like a diorama in a small, like fish tank.
Yes.
Basically.
Oh, it was very cool.
And it was really cool. Yeah. It was right up your alley, Mike. It was.
Yep.
It was
oh, absolutely. I've talked with him a lot about the miniatures and the printing at that scale. So.
Yeah. So, Mike, you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next.
Bust out the chonky.
I've got the chonky tank kitties.
Yeah.
So my I've been working with the guys at What's on Joe Mind.
Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah, pull them up.
There we go.
I know you know those guys, Carson.
I sure do.
So their chonky tank kitty.
Love it.
Is so this is the version I'm going to have. We're going to be selling at Mark's table.
That's awesome.
We're also going to. Mike is actually going to send me a bunch of What's on Joe Mind swag that we're going to have at the table too.
Cool.
Sweet.
But, so these are going to be hand painted, or they're all hand painted. I've got about 25 of them.
Love it. Oh, you got some articulation.
Nice.
This is version 2.
One POA.
Yep. One POA. The cat's head doesn't turn, a little bit too much, but version 3, once I finally get some of the blast effects, I'm actually going to redo the barrel so that it will fit anybody's leftover blast effects.
Yes.
1.4 mil.
1.4 mil. Note on that one.
Jot that down.
Too late this time, but version 3 will be hitting.
That's a great idea.
Now the other thing I did, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these. I don't know if I'm going to sell these or just give them away to people that ask me for them. But so that I didn't have to paint, I've also got the MoCat.
The MoCat.
Oh, look at the visor.
Look at the visor. Yeah, that's great, dude.
Artoine, do you know why it has a visor? So I don't have to paint eyes.
No eyes, baby. No eyes.
That makes me happy. Animals with accessories make me really happy.
Oh yes. Oh, I love Homer. Homer is the.
Oh yeah. He's got the ballistic helmet. We had to protect him.
Oh, absolutely.
He's got a flak vest and Rob Liefeld pouches.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, besides that, I'm not bringing anything else to sell, but I am gonna bring a demo box of I haven't figured out all what's coming, but basically.
Nice.
I'll have some stuff to show.
Oh, I haven't seen your warthog.
Man, I just want one of everything. I want one of all those micro vehicles.
Right?
We'll work out something, Carson.
I absolutely love that.
I can hook you up. Some of you guys may not have seen this, but this is coming to JOEFEST too. Now keep in mind, so like this is Dark Lawns of Vader.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
right?
it is.
So that is scaled for a figure. Well,
what?
That is scaled for one of these little dudes.
What?
So,
wow.
So now keep in mind, this is the scale, right? And everything I try to do.
100% feel. I 100% feel like this is something that Hasbro should look into. I asked Vinny DeLevia about it, the old brand manager, and he said I guess Hasbro acquired whoever sells Micro Machines. Is that correct? Do you guys know? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, evidently they did some Micro Machine scale Star Wars line, and it didn't do that well. And so he was like, they'll never get to G.I. Joe because the Star Wars one didn't do that well. And I just don't. I can't fathom, because I'll say this: Star Wars, yeah, maybe it's a vehicle line. Right. There's some very cool vehicles, but not nearly as many as there is in the G.I. Joe universe in terms of products that have been released. G.I. Joe is a vehicle line, right?
Absolutely.
It was designed as a vehicle line from 1982 until arguably into the early 90s, where it kind of flipped the paradigm and they started selling deluxe figures. I don't want to talk too much about it, but my point is G.I. Joe is a vehicle line, and they should have started with G.I. Joe because there's more vehicles to mine from that property, of a wider variety.
And it's not a flooded market.
Yes.
So
right.
here's my 2 cents on this. Micro Machines were never a consistent scale, and they've
Yeah, I
got
don't like
those Jada, those little die-cast ones
The
that they
Jada,
put
yeah.
out,
Mhm.
not a
Yep.
consistent scale.
Yep.
They're not bad looking.
They're not
And
bad. That
that
is
one's actually great. I'm talking about the smaller ones.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
But if you look at
yeah.
the Galaxy, gosh,
There
The
you go.
Star Wars ones.
the Star Wars ones that are out now that are
Yes.
closer to that Hiss tank, they are amazing.
And they're in
Micro
They are
scale.
great, and they're all scaled to each other. So
That's
the
what-
Falcon's this
yeah,
big, and
I
a
agree.
speeder bike is this big.
That's what you need. You
That's what
need to do
need,
a micro
consistent
line that's in
scale.
scale with each other.
That
Agreed.
Hiss tank is incredible. I don't know how many of those things I'm going to buy, but I'm just hoping that they're actually going to produce them.
I've got
Get them.
this guy,
Oh yeah. Yep.
but I haven't seen the Hiss tank yet.
That's the Jada 2-pack that came with one figure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
came with let me peel them off my monitor.
Sweet.
did
I didn't
both.
realize it was that big. That
Yeah.
looked fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
This is
What
their Hiss
vehicles
tank.
have they done at that scale? They've done the so the just those 2 Cobra
just these
vehicles.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a
Just these
vamp.
two.
And did
They
they
did
did
the
Oh, there's a
with
vamp.
Duke? A vamp with Duke. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Hiss tank, I've never seen one in a store, but I Amazoned it. Oh,
Yeah.
The most amazing thing about this, this is mostly die-cast metal, $10.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've been sleeping on those. I need to get on that.
Yeah,
those look good.
are really good. but
That's like that scale. Do all the vehicles.
Yeah.
And everyone will buy 2.
Or smaller or smaller like you've been doing. I like so full disclosure, we met 5 years ago. You gave me a Thunder Machine and a Hiss tank at JOEFEST.
Yep.
And it had the articulated cannon already, and this was a long time ago, like
Oh, yeah.
5 years ago. You were kind of on the cutting, the bleeding edge of 3D printing in the hobby. And so I got those things. I've moved like 3 times since then, and they've either been on my desk where I can look at them every day. I love them that much. Or right now they're on that shelf right there, both the Hiss tank and the Thunder Machine.
that is awesome.
I just love them, man. I really, really love them. And I would like to see a whole line, like Mark was saying, at scale with each other.
Yeah.
Because, G.I. Joe did micro vehicles back in '89, but they weren't at scale with each other.
They weren't in scale. They were, that is kind of what inspired me to do what I do, because I always wanted that micro machine scale.
Yeah.
Because
you could put the whole gambit on one shelf.
oh
You
yeah,
can have a big diorama battle, and it's just on a tabletop,
On a
it's
tabletop.
instead of a living room.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's my every time I see Mike post on Instagram or something, I'm just like, Jesus, I want to go. I want to dive down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But it's like it's a rabbit hole,
Mhm.
Oh,
and eventually I'll have time, and I'll absolutely do it.
yeah.
And
Yeah, I
can't
will.
wait.
I'll have to give a shout out to Jabberwock. He was the one
Mhm.
that kind of got me into 3D printing, because he was the first person to start creating the small scale vehicles.
Yeah.
Really, anything GI Joe.
Yeah,
Like
that's
if you go onto Thingiverse, which most of the folks in this group have.
Yep.
Going back a decade? Jabberwock was the first one, and he put hundreds of things up.
Yeah. Because he designs it for gaming. He came
Yep.
up with some gaming rules and combined some gaming rules to be able to do tabletop gaming. So he kept a consistent scale for everything.
Yeah.
Now he got to the point where I think he did everything that he wanted to do or cared to do. So as I joined this group, and thanks to some of the very early, back when you were doing it on Twitch, Mark, and I decided to step into the design, that's when I started to really step up and create the ones that fill in the holes of the vehicles. Oh, but just before I forget, so where I was going with that's the Evader.
Yeah.
That is a person.
That's a person.
Yeah.
In the same scale, I have this bad boy.
Yeah.
What?
So
That's incredible.
yep.
So that's the plane from G.I. Joe the movie that they parachute out of?
Yep.
it was. No,
I
this
think it
one
made a
showed up
couple
in the
appearances.
cartoon quite a few times.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Actually did.
It's they call it the vulture,
Okay.
but this was the one the mouth would open. So
And the
I
trouble
either
bubbles
have
would spill out.
Oh,
detachable-
hell yeah.
I've got hisses, a
Mhm.
whole squadron of hisses that fit in it.
Mm.
So this is coming to me with JOEFEST as a flex, as a show off for the panel.
That's a
Mike,
good one.
Mike, I'm brainstorming. When I see good ideas, I want to brainstorm and see like what can version 2 do. I would love to see the bay door on that bad boy open up, and so the his tanks just roll out with their parachute rigs. You know what I mean?
That would be, yes.
Yeah, gotta have a bay door on that.
I may have to refresh that one because it was a very fun project. And I actually worked with. I got the permission from a guy that's pretty famous, pretty well known on Facebook, called Rusted Gear and Cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
He had done actual cutaway drawings of that, like the full top and side views and everything. And that's kind of what I used as the base. So I reached out to him and, got his permission to use his drawings as the base. And I ended up sending him a version of it.
So was that one, was that Tinkercad, or were you in Fusion at that point?
That was Tinkercad. I can't imagine what I would have been able to do with Fusion in that one. So
it's been really interesting working with Mark Jerwig on Autodesk Fusion because I can get in and I can see his work. And Mark is a modeler. I'm not a modeler yet. I wouldn't call myself. I've modeled some things in the past and whatever. I don't consider myself in that game yet. I'm just doing some printing and engineering stuff for OR. But watching Mark's workflow and seeing how he imports Rudat's and Pennington's drawings, brings them in at both the angles and overlays the 3D stuff on top of them, and stays very true to their designs by using these. That's what they're for. They're sculpting drawings that these guys have created of the accessories from different views. It's really brilliant to see how you guys are using that workspace. So I could see, Mike, how that would give you a head start using that guy's diagrammatic illustrations to build that plane.
Absolutely.
So is that the process you used as well?
Yes. Well, back in...
No, not in Tinkercad.
Not in Tinkercad. So what I used to do in Tinkercad is I would go do a manipulation of the drawing and create an outline, and then convert that to SVG, and then drop that into Tinkercad and use that as a skeleton frame.
Yes, sir. That's it. That's the way.
This is the way.
And, we find our cheats, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes for complicated parts, that was my step. I would create an SVG.
Mm-hmm.
I would drop it into Tinkercad. I would scale it to the size that I wanted, and I was done. If it was like a flat part,
sometimes that works. Yeah.
The fins for the bug, I just did an SVG, dropped it in, stretched it out as far, widened it out, and I was done.
Yeah. But now,
now I've seen the light. I am in the I'm doing the Fusion, and so much. Tinkercad is great, but Fusion is just so much better.
So I work in video and animation, so I'm used to the hefty price tag that comes with my career in terms of what I have to pay for After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, all that stuff that I live in all day. I had a little sticker shock when I bought Autodesk Fusion last December to start working kind of hand in hand with Mark. So I bought a 3D printer, and I'm basically doing some rapid prototyping over here. I've got some samples on the table, and I can talk about that later. But I just consider myself, I'm like a prototyping engineering partner, and Mark's the modeler. Obviously Mark does his own printing as well. I'm just trying to help where I can so that he could stay focused on the task that I can't do. Right. I know Mark could do all of this printing for me, and the figure assembly, buck assembly, and all that stuff. I just don't want him to be bogged down with that.
You also have a much nicer machine than I do.
Oh, thanks. But he's and hey, that's thanks to the Operation Recall backers. So we have spared no expense on getting what we need to do a good job. So thank you.
What you're saying is your printer is like 1/1000th mine.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, I'm all in.
Nice. What do you have? Go ahead.
He's saying because he's a backer.
Yes, you have partial. Yes, you have partial ownership of a Formlabs 3+. Anyway, where was I at? Sticker shock. So I think it was like $600 or $500 for the year or something like that. So how do you sell this to your significant others, or how do you recover that cost, or what's the deal here?
So I got the cheat sheet. I'm an educator, so I have the free educator edition.
Did you say free?
Yeah, it's free if you're an educator. Yeah.
Oh man, so I used to teach at Duke for like 5 years. It was just like one class per semester. I'm still on the education. No, I still have my educational discount for Adobe Creative Cloud. Don't anybody report me.
No.
But I can't use that for Autodesk. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. So
Right.
the cheat sheet is, if you're an educator, you have your educational email, and you can kind of show that you use it to enhance your classes or stuff like that. You get it for free.
Yeah, I was teaching video production, so it was a legit excuse, you know. What about you, Mike? How do you kind of offset or justify or explain away?
He doesn't have to.
By being the world's cheapest man. I do Autodesk, or I do Fusion, but there is a free version of Fusion out there.
Oh, wow. Well, that's good for the community to know.
Yep. It's non-commercial, and I don't do commercial stuff. I typically don't sell my stuff. So, I'm not breaking the rules. The big thing is it's limited to 10 open files at a time, editable files.
That's not a huge limitation. Now, can you have like 100 on your hard drive, but you can only open 10 at a time, or can you only actually have 10? You know what I mean?
You can only open 10 at a time. So basically what happens if you have 10 files that are set to editable.
Yeah.
But at any time, you can take one of those files and set it to non-editable.
And just
so you still have access to it, but then you just have to rotate to another one.
Okay.
Now, the secret with me is I'm sure real designers are often going to use the they'll use a file per part.
Right.
I'm basically building the entire. I built up an entire Rolling Thunder model all in the same file. There was a lot of balancing to it and a lot of moving things around, but that counted as one.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done with it, I just set it to non-editable and I can move on to the next file. But at some point, I do need to do I need to bite the bullet and just move up to the subscription. And then as far as other applications, there's so many free equivalents of everything. Like I don't use Adobe, but I'll be using GIMP and other stuff that works. It's not as nice, it's not as fancy, but it gets me from point A to point B.
There's some people in the thread, in the comments thread, already dropping in. Like, that's why I use Blender, or I've got free, there's other options.
Yeah, Tanner is really good at Blender. I tried Blender, and no.
Not for you, huh?
And this is a thing that I talk about a lot, is different people's brains work differently. And some people are able to pick up Blender no problem, and I'm not one of those for sure. Blender is it's such a monster.
You need a degree.
in the video editing world, there's people that jumped in on Final Cut X, and it's like totally watered down. It doesn't have all the features that Premiere or Final Cut Pro before it used to have. And I could never make the jump, but I would have students that wanted to do Final Cut X, and I could understand, because they took the iMovie code when it was 16-bit. They built iMovie for like 8 years, and then they took the Final Cut Pro name and created a 32-bit version called Final Cut Pro, but it was really just using the iMovie code. I'm going too deep in the weeds here. My point is, Final Cut is so different than what Final Cut used to be and what Adobe Premiere still is. So that forced me. I made the jump to Premiere. So there's just different ways of operating in these spaces, and some that make sense to us and others that don't. I definitely recommend downloading free versions of stuff and trying it for a little bit before you invest your software dollars. Make sure that it's the one that clicks for you, because we all have options in everything we do. If it's image editing, 3D modeling, whatever, graphic design, there's always options, and you should check out the various software.
Absolutely.
So I still get lost in Autodesk Fusion, but I think that's just because I'm a noob. Like, I'll call Mark, I'll text Mark, I'll be like, do you have 5 minutes to train me? So it's still confusing to me, but
it's a lot.
It's still easier than Maya, though. I did Maya back in the day. I hate Maya.
So
a lot of people love Maya too. Yeah,
I can see if you get into it.
I want to real quick plug the next time we do a podcast. And I don't know for sure that we're going to do one in June, because it's JOEFEST. I've got like a 2-week break, and then I've got the Dallas Fort Worth Joe show. But there's a guy named George Waldron in the group, and he did an ass, but it's like a hyper detailed sort of more modernized take on it. And we kind of want to do like a compare and contrast between the one I did and the one that he did.
Right.
And he is a Maya guy.
Right.
And it's interesting because I was talking to him, and the thing that I tell people about Maya is not the right tool for 3D printing or manufacturing. Maya is there for video editing and doing like video game sprites, that kind of thing. And when I was talking to him and he told me he used Maya, I was shocked at first. And then he immediately, like before I could even say anything, he followed up with, yeah, I came from the video special effects world and never left Maya. Like, you can do it, you can make it work, but it's not the right tool.
Right. It's an incredibly robust tool. Menus going all the way across with tons of drop downs. And then when you held the mouse out in the middle and held down the space bar, you had different pop-up menus that popped up. Yeah. And then on the left of the menu system, you could toggle between modeling and animation and whatever, like where you skeleton the bodies, like do the rigging, you know, where texturing, whatever. There was like 4 different ones. And when you pulled from one of those, the rest of the menus on the bar changed. It's literally the most complex piece of software that I've ever used. So I'm not saying Maya is not a good tool.
You should check out ZBrush sometime.
Okay. I'm just saying it was above my pay grade. Like I did 1 full semester of it. I got 2 30-second animations out of it and they weren't good. So I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people that love Maya. It really is about how you learn best on a program, like what really clicks with you, how you can navigate in it. To me, navigation is, I want
you want things to be commonsensical. Like you know a software should do a certain task. How long does it take you from thinking this should do that to finding this is how I do that? That's what it's all about in software to me. Because most of the stuff is intuitive. We know what we want to accomplish. How do we go about accomplishing it? Mark, I don't want to let you off the hook though. What are you bringing to JOEFEST? Do you want to do a?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'll go and then like best for last. You'll do the last show. Real quick. So there was a comment in the chat, and I'm not saying Maya isn't an amazing, wonderful, awesome tool. I'm saying it wasn't designed to do physical objects like 3D printing and manufacturing. Maya was designed to do video editing,
animation
stuff for video games, animation, that kind of thing. I'm just saying
a virtual object.
The purpose of that tool isn't 3D design for manufacturing. That's all I'm saying. It's a wonderful tool. I have it on this machine. It's amazing. Okay, so yeah, what am I bringing? What am I bringing?
Put yourself up big screen too.
Big screen.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Get the presentation.
Carson comes in, he takes over. Right. So I'm doing the
almost like he works in video or something.
Right.
All right.
I'm doing the this claw, the little Python Patrol claw with the I love how the stickers turned out.
Yeah, you nailed the paint job on that too, man.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me was I don't have one of them here. But the original one, people love to say, oh, they just put a net on it. No, they didn't. Nope. That is not how they painted that thing. But it was in my mind, it was always meant to look like snake scales. Mm-hmm. So that was my intention with this, was to take it a step further and really kind of play into that with the paint.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff.
That's beautiful.
I'll have those, and the thing I haven't really started advertising yet, because I got to figure out how to do that, is I'm going to scan heads and create custom action figure heads for people at whatever scale they want. So I can do 3 3/4, 4 inch, 6 inch, 7 inch, 12 inch, whatever.
Life size.
So I'll give a spoiler. I've seen the preliminary results on this, and it looks amazing.
Right. So this is
there it
me.
is.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at that. It's even in focus for a
It's the mark.
Yeah, it's not
because it's a face. I bet it's recognizing the face. And
yeah.
The mark.
So not pink enough, I think.
Is that
right?
Is that 1.5?
Something like that. So yeah, here's one I'm working on.
Yeah.
He's got
a tan. Yeah.
It's all about workflow. So like, I bought a scanner and I actually grabbed it to talk about real quick. So this was that mole, and I was getting just blasted with ads for this thing. Like every possible social media thing that I log into, I'd get hit with like 50 ads for this thing.
It's that little one like this. Yeah.
They were working you, man. They knew you were the prime target. They got you.
So I got the early bird version. So it was like $300.
Okay.
300 and change. And very much like the scanning episode we did with Viper 6, it doesn't want to see dark colors, so
Right.
it won't grab hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this specifically because I want to do heads, and it's just not gonna. It won't do it. It won't do it because it can't see the dark colors. So I actually had it for like a month, and I scanned, like successfully scanned something for the first time yesterday, and I sprayed it with the Dr. Scholl's foot powder because I'm cheap.
Yep.
And it did all right. It's fine. You know, it was exactly kind of the results I expected. But again, it's not going to do head. So I'm back to using my phone, and I picked an app on there. It's a paid app, but it works all right. And I believe it's using photogrammetry, where it's taking like colorless shots from all around and then smushing it together and creating a scan.
Yeah.
And I've been like practicing, and I've got a technique for it, and I'm doing pretty good. Sometimes it likes to miss a little under the chin and a little on the top
of the head. Yeah.
So I scan it, and then I'd have to make it a solid. I do it like I cut out anything. Sometimes, like especially if you've got hair, like it'll have like floating pieces, and you got to get rid of all that shit. And then I put it in ZBrush, and I sculpt any features that are messed up. I have to completely redo the eyes all the time. Like 100% of the time, I have to resculpt the eyes. It just doesn't grab them well. And there's less detail there than you really like. It looks like there's a lot going on, but it's really pretty smooth right there. And when you go to paint them later on, it's a mess unless you've given yourself some extra detail.
Some depth, yeah.
So I've got to do that, and then I have to decimate it so it's a small enough file that I can work with. Then I got to put in Fusion and create all the interior working. So it's been about figuring out the right workflow so that I can quickly move through. And I'm not quite there yet, but I know I'll get there.
Okay.
So if I give you a few photos of my father back when he was SF, no,
I could probably do it, but
yeah,
it would still have to be about 10. It would have to be 10 photos that kind of give me all the sides.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple different softwares. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Mesh Mixer does it. ZBrush might, where you can apply a photogrammetry with existing photos. You gotta play with it, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
That's why I need the scan as like a starting point so that I can make it look like the person I'm doing. But my ZBrush isn't quite there yet where I can recreate a person and you can look at it and go, holy shit, that's my head. Yeah, I'm not quite there.
There's a few guys in this group that are.
There's a couple guys that can nail that stuff.
They're nice.
I'll get there. It's just ZBrush is a bit of a monster to get into. It's got a learning curve.
Yeah.
Well, would you say, just for a noob like me, that maybe use Autodesk Fusion for the hard surface kind of models that you're building, then like ZBrush is what you're going to use for organic stuff like face?
Absolutely. That's
just giving layman's people an explanation of why you would mess with the two different ones.
Yeah, but
there we go.
Nice
on the 12-inch figure.
Yeah,
it's
that looks great,
mark.
dude. That looks great, dude.
That's awesome.
I've got
I tell you, for anybody that wants to get into ZBrush, I'll give a plug to some guys that I found out there. The Stylus League. I don't know if you've heard about these guys. They're 4 professional artists, and every week they just sit down. They do a podcast like this. Each one of them's going through their own workflow. Nice. They'll give themselves a topic. It's like, hey, this month we're doing a character from Spawn. Everyone does the character they want. They work through their workflow. They chat back and forth. I've never seen anything like that. It is an absolutely amazing behind the scenes look at how artists do that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that really takes me back to kind of the roots of kind of how Mark and I kind of got started with this thing. Mark would do his sort of workflows and tutorials of Tinkercad and Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved it. Like that was like a Saturday morning like ritual for me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was the Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. You weren't even Mark II designs at that point, were you?
No, I think it was still the Sea Daddy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Daddy. Love it. That's when you were fresh out of the Navy, huh?
No, I was very much still in the Navy.
Oh, you're still in? Okay. Gotcha.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I've only been out
2 years?
like a year and change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
Haven't been
told
out that long.
I told my dad we got a real veteran on, not, I don't mean to say real, like all the guys are toy veterans, right? But we got a military veteran on Operation Recall, and I was really happy with that.
Yeah.
So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Okay. So, and in addition to doing head scans and creating custom heads and the claw, I'll have all my usual stuff. Like I signed up for JOEFEST 8 months ago, and I got like a little ass table, and I really like next year I'll get a booth. I'm not gonna have enough room, but I'm gonna try and bring my big stuff just to kind of show it off and flex.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
Mike's not the only one.
Yeah, I'm still trying to. We'll have to figure out your table. I'm still trying to decide if you're in a good spot or a bad spot.
Yeah.
It's right at the front door. So
yeah, people are gonna walk in right past me.
yeah, but everybody leaving is going to have to be staring
Gonna have
right
to
at
reach
you.
you. Yeah,
True,
exactly.
Are you going to bring a wacky waving inflatable tube man? We might need something like that.
You got to say that 5 times fast.
No.
No, yeah, I don't know. I'm working on a bunch of stuff. The guy who usually does my graphics, like the good printing, he's on the other side of that wall right there. He closed up shop like last week.
Man, no.
Yeah, he's retiring.
Oh,
So
man.
I need to get on that. I have a lot to do between now and JOEFEST. And with that, Carson, you're up.
All right. Let's see. So I've been working on obviously the Collecting the Art of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero omnibus hardcover. It's a 20-pound beast, right? So this is the clamshell case. There's a magnet hinge. All right, and this is just a prototype, right? So it's printed and applied to what's called the dummy, the blank book, right? So you open up the clamshell case. We already have the designs done for the interior. It's just not printed in here. We created this last JOEFEST. This is the 24 print folder that comes inside of every set. And so you've got 12 backer's choice selections and 12 editor's choice selections, just unadorned, full 11 by 14. We went with that size because you can buy those frames really cheap at Michael's or whatever your favorite art store is. So I'll be bringing this dummy or this mock-up using the old dummy. I also have the new dummy, which adds an additional 4 signatures. So we basically added another 64 pages after this. So if you saw this at JOEFEST last year, the new dummy has arrived, and I've got that here. And it looks very similar, but it's just deeper. And it has a revised file folder with folded edges and a spine now, because I upgraded the paper on this portfolio of prints to a much thicker stock. And so the 24 pages really were calling for a spine at this point. So I've got the updated dummy. That's the art portfolio. The book itself, you just kind of lift up this strap. This will be red, white, and blue for Real American Hero. And then there's also a strap bookmark inside the book that's red, white, and blue. And this is 704 pages, 20 pounds. So it's insane. Come to JOEFEST, get your hands on this, and get a feel for how big your baby's going to be. We've had about 3,500, I'd say, pre-orders through the Kickstarter and through 3djoes.com. If anybody that's seeing this for the first time, go to 3djoes.com/art and you can get your pre-order in. The only benefit to pre-ordering right now is we're going to ship these in the order that the orders were received. So all the Kickstarter people are obviously going first, and then we'll start to fill 3D Joe's pre-orders after that. So get your orders in now if you want to be one of the first 4,000 people or so to have this in hand. So I'll be bringing that. I'm also planning on bringing, and don't hold me to this, but I'm pretty sure we can get there, all 704 pages printed. And I'm just going to put them in a giant folder, and you guys can come and flip through and read.
Wow.
It's 75,000 words of research. There's a tremendous amount of research in this book. The video gear is still out because I just went and had a video shoot with Vinny DeLivia in Chicago. He was the brand manager from 1990 to 1994. So he told me a ton of stories, and really, Kirk was the vice president of Boys Toys at that time. Vinny was the brand manager. So Vinny had the more direct oversight of the whole creative team, and he marketed the brand for those 4 years. So while Kirk talks in broad strokes about the 90s, Vinny talks in very detailed strokes about the 90s. So I filmed with him for 4 hours. I edited it down to about 3 hours worth of video content that should be on those discs that go with the book. And then I transcribed it to 9,000 words, and then I worked that into the pre-existing book content. So the book right now is about 75,000 words. So you guys can come flip through all 704 pages and just read countless stories about, what was happening behind the scenes, what motivated them to do certain things, how did they turn out, how did they not turn out, all that kind of stuff. So, and obviously you're going to learn about all the artists that contributed to the brand. So every major artist that worked on the brand has their own artist profile in the book. Talks about where they went to school, how they got on with Hasbro, what was their entire experience like at Hasbro, that kind of stuff. So we've got a lot of artist profiles in there. Got some pre-production work in there, which is great. So it's just a little sampling. It's like nothing like Dan Klingensmith's books. His are 100% focused on pre-production, right? I'm just giving a little taste of pre-production sprinkled throughout. What else is in there? There's cartoon art. There's comic book art. So there's little sprinklings of other types of art that we as collectors can get into. Yep, there's Dan's stuff.
Yep.
And so
I need to get, I only have the one right now. I need to get the rest of them. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I think he's shipping 11 right now, and I think he's getting ready to announce 12 at JOEFEST.
Yep.
So Dan, I think he's aiming to wrap up his series this year with maybe 13 volumes, but so he's still working. So anyway, I'll be bringing the Art of G.I. Joe, right? So you guys can hopefully, peruse all 704 pages, and you can get a feel for the 20-pound art baby. The other thing I'll be bringing in is Operation Recall related. So I've been producing these books with Mark. And so these bucks started as call sign Longbow. Their original buck, we all share the same parts, the same joints. They're going to be interchangeable.
Nice.
But what Mark has helped me do is create a little bit of size variation for our figures to where these are 2-ups, right? So this is twice the scale of the figure. It's going to be 3 3/4 inch figures. We're actually going to have some variety in scale though. So there's a guy called Soul Eagle. That's like this giant wrestler dude. He's going to be 4 inches, right? And then there's a small Japanese lady that comes with Pack Dog, which is one of those Boston Dynamics style dogs. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. I definitely want to drop that concept that we have, Mark, about opening that up to the community. So we should talk about Pack Dog in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk. I was not expecting to hear when you guys were talking about that, when we had that meeting with Kirk. I was like, what?
It's an awesome idea. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But so I'll be bringing bucks so you guys can see the size and scale of different figures. I've got 5 figures sculpted so far with another 2 in progress. Now, some of those sculptures are in Connecticut with Bill Merkline. Some of those are in California with Mike Good. So I'm not sure which ones I'll be able to have on hand. I think I'll at least be able to bring Bill Merkline's to the show. I don't want to interrupt their workflow by taking away their work. You know what I mean? So that's the challenge.
Are you willing to let Mr. Good ship?
I know that scares the hell out of me.
Right?
I never shipped Ritello.
I know.
I never did. I drove back and forth to Connecticut.
I know.
I've also got all this paperwork. So this is the pre-production process for all these figures. And so I'll have just notebooks upon notebooks of all the kind of ideation, the iterations that have here. I'll flip it this way. So this is all the pre-production artwork, reference material, stuff like that, feedback letters for each of these characters that we've been designing.
That is
so
amazing.
I'll have the behind the scenes, like, look how thick that is. And this is just round 2 of figure ideation. So I'll have that stuff. There'll be plenty for you guys to flip through. I'll have a booth with Joe Declassified. They're my good friends that do all the archiving stuff. They kind of dig up and unearth old artifacts from 82. Well, actually, they go past 94. But everybody should always make it a habit of going by the Joe Declassified booth because they have unreal artifacts at their booth, like original paintings, original drawings, original sculptures, paint masters. The whole pre-production gamut is usually covered there. And since I'll be mostly in the AV room helping people run their panels, that's what I did last year. I'll be doing that again this year. So for the majority of the time, you'll find me in the panel room. But I will have, like I was saying, everything that I was describing here will probably be on display as part of the Joe Declassified booth, if that makes sense. I also will have some accessories that we've been working on. There's Mark's work. So this is these are accessories for Breacher.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm spoiling it. This is our big spoiler. So these are accessories for Breacher. He's our door kicker. We've got the China Lake grenade launcher, and then we also made one with a pistol grip handle. We're going to test those. This is the rapid prototyping phase where we're deciding what works and what doesn't. This is the pistol that plugs into his waist piece. So there's a little peg on the back of this one. This is a medical pack that is part of the dog sculpture. And these are the 40 millimeter grenades for the China Lake grenade launcher. And then this is the Kel-Tec KSG, my favorite shotgun. I've actually got one of those. I love it. So he's using the Kel-Tec KSG. And then we've got more grenade launcher rounds for the dog. So Breacher's going to have the rounds on his leg, and then the dog is also going to, his dog is Hellhound. Hellhound's going to have extra rounds for him on the dog's body. I've got these extras just in case, if that's helpful to Merkline. But all right, we'll make another announcement here. I was on the phone with Bill Merkline this week, and he expressed that he always hated sculpting helmets for the GI Joes because it made them look ridiculous, because you have these wall thickness requirements, right? And so in GI Joe, A Real American Hero, you really were stuck between two decisions. Do you want to execute on the designer's desire for a helmet and either make it removable or sculpt it into the head and be able to make it a little bit smaller? He was never happy with the removable helmets. He always thought they looked big and ridiculous. And to be frank, a lot of the designers, Mark Pennington mentioned Blizzard as an example. If you look at the presentation artwork for Blizzard, his helmet looks awesome. If you look at the card art, it looks awesome. If you put Blizzard's actual helmet on him, he looks ridiculous, right? So
that was a soft one too. It was like a softer.
It was a soft rubber.
Yeah,
it was. But so a lot of these helmets, they were really cool helmet designs, but they weren't implementable at the scale with the wall thicknesses that they needed. And so what Bill Merkline has requested is extra head sculpts for the guys that have helmets, and he wants to do interchangeable heads. And one thing I've honored throughout this project is I'm not going to force them to do exactly what they did back in the 80s and 90s. If they wanted to make improvements on it, and engineers or costing people at Hasbro told them, no, we can't do that for whatever reason, it's too much time or it's too much money, I'm not going to say that, right? So they asked for size variation on the figure bucks, and me and Mark have delivered that. Bill Merkline is asking, can we just do two heads? One with Breacher with the head, with the helmet sculpted on, and one with Breacher with the helmet off and the hat backwards like he was in the concept art. I'm saying yes to that. So the Breacher dude is going to blow his lid when he hears this, because he was so disappointed to lose the backwards hat on the guy. And I was just like, look, man, Kirk Bazigian really wants him in a ballistic helmet. If he's kicking the door down, he needs protection. And so, I understood that, but it's looking like the direction we're going now, don't hold me to it, but we're definitely moving in the sculpting direction, at least, is potentially providing two heads for people with helmets. What do you guys think?
Love it.
Sweet. That would be sweet.
So I'll be bringing that. The other thing.
Am I still going to finish the one that I started?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we still need the helmet designed, and we could still 3D print it, and he could sculpt the fleshy parts.
And this is the thing that I love about this project more than anything else, is that you've been open to experimentation and innovation versus just doing what they did before.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most exciting damn part.
And, I don't think we're going to change anything that's going to drastically make it not fit with A Real American Hero. But literally, if the creative team is asking for these things and they're clear improvements, why would I not try to enable them to do something, next level, man? Just for that. I don't want to be a slave to history,
Real quick, there was a question in the chat asking if you had an estimated shipping date for the book.
Thank you for asking. So I have really big news to share as of Thursday, but until things are signed on the dotted line, that's all I'm going to say about it. When it's signed on the dotted line and they give me a timeline, then I'm going to be able to give you guys a timeline. There are other forces at play here that will not allow, that will not enable me, that make it impossible for me to give you guys a release date. What I'm going to have to do is be in consideration with these partners, figure out what their process is, and see how that affects our production timeline. So sorry to have like a cagey answer, but know that it's like all for the good. And this is something that needs to happen and is going to make the book even more successful. So,
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good tease.
I think so. It is exciting. It's been in the works
really
for
looking forward to it.
It's honestly been in the works for many years. You guys know that. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, for anybody that's looking at the Kickstarter updates, you can see the work that continues along the way. I will say my work is done now. I've got that whole interview edited. I've got it transcribed. I've got it worked into the pre-existing 704 pages. I'm done from a design and writing standpoint. And Chad literally is like making his final little tweaks. I'm like, dude, you need to stop. Like, just stop, man. Put it away. Put it away. But no, I created some new spreads as I worked in the 9,000 words from Vinny DeLevia. I went into some of the spreads and added some new assets. And I think everybody knows by now that Chad Huckle goes in behind me and does a lot of the image cleanup. So I've been doing layouts and writing and research, and he's been doing the majority of the image restoration, at least on the hardcover. So he's doing final touches now, man. Like we're really done. We need to get through this. I'll call it an administrative hurdle. We need to get over this administrative hurdle. That's going to be very good news, very good for the book. And then we need to get final files to the printer, and they need to give me a concrete timeline for delivery, because I don't want to just pull something out of thin air and not give it to you guys. So it's a 2023 book. There's no doubt in my mind. There is no excuse for this book not to be out this year. No excuse. We're done with the work. The printing and shipping process should not be, it's coming from Hong Kong, so that shouldn't be more than a few months. This other process that I'm being vague about, maybe it's a couple weeks, maybe it's a month. I don't know yet, because I haven't done that before, but trust me, it's for the good.
Sweet.
All right. So the other thing,
dude, I am so excited for this book.
I appreciate it, man.
And I've told you, and I've said it before, like I wasn't paying attention. Like I didn't get in on the Kickstarter because
Sure.
I usually just have my eyes down and blinders
You're working on what you're working on, and trust me, I get that tunnel vision too, man.
Yeah,
trust
me.
me.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm really, really proud of it. Like, it's literally, I went to design school. I graduated 2002. I've been out working for 21 years, and I've created a lot of things. Like I've created animations that have won regional Emmys. I've created, documentaries for PBS that have won some another regional Emmy. So I've gotten I've created some cool stuff, and I've won some good awards in the past. Like, this book is literally my heart and soul, man. I've put 11 years of my life into archiving G.I. Joe. I've put a solid 6 years into specifically this book series, like presenting it in that way. And this is the culmination of that. So it's amazing. It's been a wonderful experience. And all of you guys that got behind me on the Kickstarter, I mean, we raised like $393,000 for this thing.
Yeah.
That really turned into about 360 once all the fees were taken and pledges dropped and stuff. And then since then, I've been taking pre-orders through the website, and those have been pretty healthy too. So I've raised about 400. I spent 470 last December on this print run. That's how much I believe in the project. Wow. I'm 70 in the hole on my own project. I'm sure everybody looks at it and is like, wow, that book was amazingly successful. I'm like, fingers crossed it will be, but I have all the confidence in the world because it is a quality product. Like, we're telling great stories with the interviews, and we're showing obviously amazing artwork. So it's something that G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, needed. And that's what we believed, 6-7 years ago. And so this is it, man. It's coming to fruition. It's very exciting.
Sweet. Wow.
I cannot wait for that. I just need, my biggest problem is finding a table that's going to be able to hold it.
Here's my solution for that. Here's my solution. I'm going to get like one of those little podiums, just a thin wood pole with a wood base and a little podium right there. And I'm going to put the red fabric over it, right? And I'm going to put the Cobra symbol on the front, and it's going to be like Cobra Commander's podium. And then you walk up to the podium, and it's the art of G.I. Joe.
Oh, I love that idea.
I think everybody should have this in their corner. So I'll work with somebody to like fabricate this. We'll take orders. The other solution is make the book itself the coffee table. Just add legs to it.
Put some legs on it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen there are a handful of coffee table books out there that are coffee tables.
Yeah,
I have seen that.
You can't see my coffee table here, but it's one of those like Bob Timberlake big wooden ones, and it's got a glass top. and a slide out shelf, and you could just drop the book in there. I've got a lot of art commissions in there. So there's those types of coffee tables you could also look at as well.
I like
But
the podium.
it needs to be out. It needs to be accessible. You know what I mean? People need to flip through these pages. It's gonna be crazy.
I'm looking exactly where I'm gonna put my podium.
Yeah, nice.
Right there.
When you, and you're going to want to have something you can lay it down on, because these pages are 13.5 by 14.5 tall, right? And then there's something in here called double gatefold spreads where these open up like that. That's 54 inches across by 14.5 inches tall. It's going to be freaking massive, man. Like you're literally going to want to lay this thing on a tabletop and consume it. You know, the first double gatefold spread is all just Ron Rudat's pre-production process for 1982. Right? It's going to be an amazing ride to flip through the book. So you guys are going to love it. So the other thing I'm going to be showing off this little, so I'm calling this the action ring, because the OR ring, the trademark people said that was too close to O-ring, because Operation Recall O-ring. I called
that's a good one.
I know I was originally calling it the OR ring, but they were like, yeah, that's not really distinguishable enough from the actual one of the actual components that it's replacing. So this thing is replacing the metal T-hook, you know, and the plumber's O-ring. So plumber's O-rings, those are made out of rubber. The life expectancy for a given O-ring is 5 to 15 years, depending on the quality of the materials. This would be made out of polyethylene plastic, mass produced, and it would have a hundreds of years lifespan. So if you're one of those guys that displays a lot of O-ring figures on your shelf, and every now and then you come home and they've fallen over, then you can replace it once and be done with it. This is a working prototype. So I created this originally to assemble the call sign longbow bucks, right? So I had to create this piece because there wasn't a pre-existing metal bar and O-ring that I could work
for
with.
that size. Yep.
Right, for this 2-up scale, right? So I created this 2-up, and I call this the action ring again. Trademark pending, so don't y'all steal that. So anyway, the action ring is fully functional.
You're showing it off in the wrong place.
Yeah, no, I know. Hey, you guys do what you're going to do, because I know you're going to to do that anyway. You know what I mean? But anyway,
the trick is the material.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a working prototype. Here's the yeah, exactly. That's a very good point, because Mark, I'm working with the durable resin here, and this is through Formlabs. Obviously, I'm working with a Formlabs printer. I originally printed these in Gray Pro, and the heat resistant, and they would snap when you go to turn them. The durable ones, I can turn it pretty well, and it doesn't burst, right? So the durable resin from Formlabs is pretty great, but this still isn't as like malleable as polyethylene will be. So anyway, this is good to have a working prototype though. And you can see I've made some adjustments to it here for the smaller one, where I've reinforced the thickness of this bar. I've cut this little notch in here because there's actually a little notch on the post in the old G.I. Joes that kind of help keep it centered. So yeah, that's the revised working model right now. So I'll be bringing some of those and just kind of giving them away for people.
That's dope. I got to make sure I get one.
Come and get a sample action ring, and you guys can scan it and reproduce it at home. Do whatever you want to do. I support the piracy of the community.
But anyway, it's a great idea, executed. You know, it's a relatively easy design, but I've never seen that, and you had that idea. And if you get it made in the right material,
right?
No 3D printing or
you can't.
Mold making is going to compete with that.
That's right. It needs to be mass produced out of the proper material. This is just rapid prototyping, right? That's what I'm using my 3D printer for. And I wholeheartedly understand I will need to be working with a manufacturer to do, 2-part molds to get this stuff produced, and also to get it at a price, because there's a lot of 3D printers out there that are making amazing things, but damn, it's a lot of work, and it's just expensive. And it's just expensive because of the time you have to put into it, right? So 3D printing will, in my opinion, continue to be an awesome way to do rapid prototyping and make customs, right? But you're not going to mass produce at scale,
right,
and bring it down to a price where the everyday average consumer collector is going to be pulling the trigger on everything you make, right?
Yep.
So anyway, I'll be bringing the action ring, so you guys can check that out. I'll be bringing the accessories for Operation Recall, and hopefully I'll be bringing a few of the figure sculpts. I'm definitely going up to see Bill Merkline, and I'll be bringing his. I may or may not be comfortable with letting Mike ship. I'll probably just show photos of his.
Yeah.
But so then the question is, Are you driving your ass out to California to?
I'm gonna fly. I'm gonna fly to San Diego. I've got a good friend out there. I'm gonna stay with him, and then I'm gonna rent a car and I'm gonna drive up. And I can actually ship my gear in these rifle cases.
Mhm.
So I will be shipping my gear, and I'll be filming with Mike when I get out there.
You're willing to ship your super expensive, really
My
nice
video gear? Oh
video
yeah,
gear,
I
but
have many
not
times.
but not the
Mm-mm.
the sculpts.
You can
Yeah.
buy new cameras. You can't buy new sculpts.
Yeah.
You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
They
There
would
you
just
go.
have to do the work all over again, and I'm not willing to put them through that. So, yeah, man, I've so professionally, I've shipped my video gear several times for clients. You do what you got to do.
So just going to shows, like there's 2 or 3 times now, like I shipped to myself at the hotel for the shows that I go to, and like I'm not doing that anymore.
Really?
I've gotten screwed one way or another every single time, and like I'm driving from Denver to Augusta.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Freaking
Was that, how many hours is that? 16, 20? No, 26.
no, it's like 22. It's
Okay.
less than 24, but it's still like a couple of long days.
I did that drive with my dad from Denver to North Carolina, and he made us do it all in one push.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Who did you took turns driving?
He only let me drive maybe 6 hours.
I was
out
gonna
of the-
like I think at trips with your dad, usually you're younger when those happen. So I wasn't sure if you were.
Yeah,
driving.
usually I was a little less forgiving and a little more grumpy about 2 a.m. in the morning when I really was starting to get mad that we weren't stopping for a hotel.
Yeah, I'm actually bringing my my oldest son's coming with me.
Oh,
Nice,
So,
awesome.
but he's not driving yet. So
That'll be a good memory for you guys
yeah,
to share.
that'll be a great trip.
hopefully,
right.
it could be horrible, but we hate each other at the end of it.
If he tells you he wants to stop, you should let him stop. Okay,
Yeah.
don't force him
Yeah.
to keep going.
I need to ask Troy McKee, the longbow. I think he might be driving. I really need to ask him, because if he is, he's probably done it before, and he may have some tips for me. As of right now, I'm probably stopping in St. Louis.
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Yeah. You guys are just die hard. I'm getting on a plane.
I have too much stuff,
class.
man. Like
I'm flying first class.
Wow.
And I'm bringing I'm bringing a box maybe that big of stuff, and that's
Yeah. Nice.
it.
I remember, so last year I met Renee from hardtofindtoys.net. He brought like a whole, like a large, like clamshell suitcase that was empty.
Just to buy stuff and ship it back.
Well,
to take it back
that's
with
what I
him
do.
when he flew.
No. I buy. So here's the trick: if you're coming to JOEFEST, and people have seen me, they know this. If you're coming to JOEFEST, you don't bring anything on the flight or traveling with you. You get down there, you hit a target, you grab the biggest bin you can find, and then you roll around the JOEFEST floor with that bin. And people, this is no lie, people have seen me do it, and I fly back with
Smart.
them. That's it.
Smart. I love it. All right, so I just popped out buzzers, O-ring, and T-hook, and just drop that in there.
Nice.
So you guys can see that bad boy.
You've taken apart some Joes, man.
Yeah.
Like
true.
Like the O-ring is one thing, but popping that T-hook in, Jesus.
Yeah, you just got to do. It's just
that
2
takes
more
them.
screws, man. It's just 2 more screws.
Yeah, but I mean, you did that in like 3 minutes or something. I feel like
If you could do, look, and he's already assembled, man. If you could do Autodesk Fusion, I guarantee you can change an O-ring and an action ring.
I can do it. I just don't think I could do it that fast without some practice.
So there. Oh well, he's not screwed. He's
Oh.
not screwed together yet, man.
Okay.
I didn't
That
put the
was
screws in.
part of what the thing was.
Yeah.
He cheated the time contest.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
true.
yeah. Okay.
You're doing
I'm
an infomercial thing.
significantly less impressed now.
Fair.
You're doing an
That's
infomercial.
totally fair.
I
Yeah,
love
look,
it.
it's already
I
done.
love it.
Totally fair. All right. So there's what
happening.
it's replacing, so people can
Yep.
really look at that.
Yeah,
Nice.
Red, brilliant, man.
And it still does have. This is again that durable resin, so you can still turn the waste as much as a normal human would turn. Now, if you turn that a full 180, it'll probably.
Might
Hey,
snap.
look, it didn't snap yet. All right, so that's 180. and then get it back in position. So yeah, it's going to feel a little different, obviously, than an O-ring, because rubber is going to feel different than polyethylene. But this durable resin that Forum Labs produces is their closest approximation to polyethylene. So this should be a very similar experience to a manufactured piece,
Cool.
just more durable and cheaper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before I forget, I do want to plug, we will be doing a G.I. Joe 3D printing panel at JOEFEST.
Nice.
And we don't have the time yet, but it's going to be, we're going to have PowerPoint. We're going to have some examples of things that have been printed. But it should be good. It should be fun. It's really kind of meant more for people that are curious about it and possibly interested in getting into it. And it's geared more towards them, but it's us. So we're going to have our tangents, and Mike's going to whip out some tip or trick that blows our minds. No pressure.
Nice.
No pressure. Every time, man, he comes up with some. I still have like this thing that I.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
Jesus, I don't know how much you watch the podcast, Carson, but like Mike will just be like, oh yeah, just use one of these or just try this, and it's like what
Yeah.
just hits us with this shit every time.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Glad I can help.
He's the season. He's Yoda.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Consider this, you must.
Try a protractor, you will.
Exactly.
Cool. All right.
So Mark, I think also you're going to join me and Mark Pennington on the Operation Recall panel?
Yeah.
So-
If I'm
so-
assuming I'm still invited. Yeah.
You are. Yep. So Mark is the only kind of vintage creator that's going to be at the show this year, other than Larry, obviously. Larry that wrote all the comics. He's going to be there. Mark Pennington was the primary figure designer, came on in 1986, and basically produced all the figures for 1987 in tandem with Ron Rudat. Like Ron handed them off and Mark finished up a bunch of them. So he did a lot. He did all the 87 figures, most in tandem with Rudat. And then he did everything from 88, 89, a couple from 90. So you all know Mark Pennington's work. Come meet him. He's working on Operation Recall with us, doing half of the figures. Ron Rudat's doing the other half. And so Mark will be there with me, Mark Pennington. And then Mark II Design will be there with me as well, because Mark II Design's doing all the accessory design modeling. So let's do it. Come see Operation Recall panel.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then Ron Rudat will be at the DFW Joe show that I go to like 2 weeks later.
Yep.
So come see him and me there.
That's right.
Oh, so Ron, he won't be at Joe.
No, he's not coming this year. Neither is Kirk Bazigian. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, Larry's going to be there, right?
Larry will be there.
Larry.
Okay.
Yeah.
This will be my third Joe Fest. Does Kirk usually go to these, or because he hasn't been the last 3 years?
Yeah. When they started JOEFEST, I'm going to rein this in a little bit. What I would like to see is an open invite to Ron Rudat, Mark Pennington, Kirk Bazigian, Vinny DeLevia. Man, that dude was vital for all the Joes of the 90s. He was the direct, brand ambassador, marketer, overseeing the entire creative process. I just kind of feel like Larry, Kirk, Vinny, Mark, Ron, Kurt Groen did all the figure designs from 91 to 94. I feel like there should be an open invite for him. Those are key people that, had a huge influence on the line. And we would not celebrate a real American hero like we do if it were not for each and every one of them. So I feel like JOEFEST, as kind of the successor to JoeCon, should have an open invite to those guys every year.
Mm-hmm.
Pay for the room, pay for the flight. I put it out there. I'll say it. That I don't think that's been the case. Now, when they started with JOEFEST, they were very, very good about inviting these creators, and I celebrated the hell out of it. So that's the flip side of this. When people do something that I'm really happy with, I talk about it and I promote it. And when they aren't doing exactly what I would hope that they would do, then I'll say something. You know what I mean? So I was very excited to see Mark Pennington get the invite this year. because, you know, he's not as well known as Ron Rudat, but man, at 86 to 89, 90, those are great figures, right? He should be celebrated as well. And so it's awesome to see Mark Pennington be included. So take that with a grain of salt. You know, I want all of my friends there. I want all of the creators that had such a huge impact to be there every year. And now, to be fair, some of their schedules won't allow, but I at least want the invite to be there. You know what I mean?
Allow me to say no.
Yeah. give me the option, and I can say, I'm sorry, we got the family beach trip this year. You know, whatever
Right.
it is, you know.
Right. Yes.
So we'll have
right.
Mark Pennington and we'll have Larry Hama. So
okay, cool. I've gotten so used to seeing Ron
I know,
that
man.
I can't believe she's not going to be there. Okay.
I know, he's a staple.
He was
and
one
Jenny.
of the first year that I went, when I pulled into the parking lot, he was like sitting in the parking lot, and there's like a little tree, a little bit of grass, and he's just like sitting under a tree smoking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was
he smokes a
I
lot.
remember driving in and just being like a triple take. Like, I think that's fucking Ron Rudat.
Is that the Ron Rudat? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's funny you say that, because right when I pulled in, it was late. It was like 9 o'clock at night. He was out there smoking with 5 fanboys around him. It was great. It was like, this is the greeting when you pull up at the hotel.
Yeah.
It's chill.
So,
yes.
And his wife, Jenny's super sweet. His son, Tristan's awesome. They come to the show with him sometimes, you know.
So what's the biggest thing that we're all waiting for JOEFEST? Like, what's really got us excited about being there?
Dinner.
Funded by Chonky Tank Kitties. So every purchase of a Chonky Tank Kitty goes to dinner.
So the days go. Yeah, I like the show opens up, and it is just like, and no kidding. At the end of the day, like, at least for me, like, I'm exhausted, and it's night. We go and we sit down and we have a nice dinner, and everyone is just in a great mood, and it's just great energy. And I enjoy the hell out of having dinner.
Nice,
because it's like we've always ended up just walking to the Mellow Mushroom, and the whole place is just packed with people from JOEFEST. And you can just like start a conversation with anyone at any table. And it's just fantastic. And anyway.
Okay.
That's me.
We should form our own city where it could be like that every day. It's like just the town of Joe nerds, and like every time you go out. Exactly. Let's just pick a Springfield that's kind of dilapidated, run down, property values are down, and then just all the
build it up. Yep.
All that nerd money flowing in.
Yeah.
Nerd money flowing in. Everyone working from home. Yeah.
Let's get it.
We'll make the city hall the Terror Dome.
Nice. Yeah. The Armory obviously would be the pit. You know. Yeah.
So
it is a great experience, man. It's like the one time a year. I mean, obviously, all of us, I don't know, like when you guys interact with your friends and family and you tell them about your hobbies and passions, and their eyes start to glaze over a little bit, you know, they don't really understand it, but they support it, kind of thing. Yeah. This is like the one time a year where you get together and everybody around you is either like a passionate consumer and fan of this stuff, or a passionate creator and contributor to the kind of the heartbeat of this community. To me, the heartbeat of this community is everybody's creative ideas. They keep it interesting. Like I remember the periods like 2015 to 2019 when Hasbro, the brand, was dormant. You know, they were barely making anything. And the community honestly kept it alive and vibrant. It was still interesting and fun to be part of this community, even with no new product coming out really, because of what everybody else was contributing and bringing to the party. So
that's a good perspective. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So Juan, what are you looking forward to most?
So for me, it's always shopping.
Yeah.
I like to get down. I usually kind of save up my fine coin for JOEFEST. I hit a few toy shows along the way, but JOEFEST is kind of like my big deal. And then it's seeing all my friends in one place, like, you know, knowing that everybody's kind of pulled together their resources and got to this one spot so we can all kind of kick it and hang out. That's a big deal for me.
Yeah.
And you take your
my bedroom shot. Yes.
Yeah. At the end of the weekend, he puts if he can fit everything he's picked up on the king size bed. He'll get
Oh, I
his
have
up
seen
there.
those
He'll
photos.
take a picture of everything he got.
I've definitely seen those photos.
Yeah.
I've lingered on those photos. Like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, look at that.
It's impressive how he gets it all in one shot.
In one shot. But no, what's even more impressive is where do I fit it back in my house? my
On
place
the wall, I guess.
Yeah, my place is filled to the brim. I don't even know if I bring anything back home, my place will explode, and it's going to happen.
That's hilarious.
Mike, what are you looking forward to?
Well, first off, I'm looking forward to the presentation. I think that is going to be fun. I've never done anything like that at JOEFEST. I've gone and I've walked and I've shopped and I've talked to some people, but I think it's going to be fun to be, up front for the 3 people that are going to show up to watch us.
Yeah.
Other than that, I like to just see what people bring to the table. The odder stuff. I'm not so much into collecting the toys themselves because I've got what I want. That collection's done. I like the kind of offshoot stuff. Like I swear one of my favorite things that I picked up at a Joe convention 10 years ago is somebody made patches of the Defiant and the Crusader that were modeled after actual NASA mission patches.
Yeah, I think that was Troy McKee.
Was that Troy? Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
I picked up some of those. I have those framed up at the top of my desk just because they are such a unique and awesome representation of the brand outside of just the toys.
Yeah.
So I love to see that stuff. I love to see what people come up with.
That's an interesting perspective too. I'm almost at that point too, where like I'm gonna buy a lot of stuff, but
yep,
I'm more so looking at those like rarities or those one-offs or something that just really kind of piques my interest because I was telling I think Mark and Mike, I've got like 100 bats. I mean, how many more bats do you need type thing?
Yeah.
Well, if someone's paint up something very, unique or something like that, it just catches my eye and I go, oh, I gotta have it. So
and you'll kick yourself if you don't grab it because you'll never have that opportunity again. Oh my God, there was a guy who was chroming vehicles, like legit vacuum sealing vehicles, and he did the X30. And I slept on it, man. And I came back the next day, and I believe the retro blasting guy
Retro blaster guy.
Yeah. I thought he got a Sky Striker.
I was so heartbroken. The point of the story is, if you see one of those one of a kind type things and it pulls at your heartstrings, don't leave that booth and go do something else and think you're going to come back and get it.
And it'll be there. Nope.
Because I never got that Chrome X30, and I've kicked myself about it ever since, man.
Yeah, that's up for you, Mark. If you haven't seen that, there was a vac metal chromed Conquest out there that you're doing the Conquest model, and you've done the Shark.
There was, because it was Michael from Retro Blasting. I thought it was I thought he grabbed a Sky Striker.
They made Sky Striker, Skyhawk, X30. There was a bunch on the table, but I thought Michael got my X30. I call it mine because I love it.
He's got a video where he's showing. He said, "I stole this from Carson."
Oh, he did.
He doesn't say that, but he's showing off his custom.
Yeah,
they are some beautiful customs.
That's what's special about the show. It's like kind of when you ask, what are you most excited about? I'm most excited about what I don't know that I'm going to see, right? Because you walk around the show and you're going to find things like a Chrome X30 that you never find anywhere else and you'll never have again, the opportunity to buy again. Those are the types of things that make the show beyond the friends. The friends are the first and foremost. But beyond the friends, when you talk about material items, it's that opportunity to get this rare thing, this one-off thing, this custom thing, that you're just not going to see on eBay every day.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Plus the fact that because this has become such a big show, everybody saves their biggest and brightest stuff to bring and showcase here. That's so you are definitely going to see things. You're going to see things for the first time.
Yeah.
It's not to sound like an asshole, but like I'm excited to see the Action Force panel.
Oh,
like the vast majority of this, like that's where like in terms of me professionally 3D designing for toys, that's where I started. And the vast majority of stuff that I've done, like I don't think anyone has actually seen yet.
Nice.
So I look forward to like I go to the panel and I kind of watch people's reactions to shit that I made. You know, I'll eventually get over that, I think. But
why should you, man?
It's still kind of new. It's still like so weird.
Take pride in your work, man. There's nothing wrong with taking pride in your work. You bust your hump on this stuff all day, every day. There's nothing wrong with you celebrating that moment where the audience finally gets to see your hard work. That's got to be amazing.
Mark, that's real. That's not being an asshole. That's real. Like, you know, when you've put that work in, and we've talked about it before, you know, you went from kind of being in the Navy to like, what am I going to do next? Well, you're doing it, and you should be celebrating that. You know,
I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. Like I'm. It's also weird. Like I'm just so happy that I'm not like doing some fucking contractor gig. Like I'm so happy doing this. So
that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's dope. Yeah.
All right. We are at an hour 20, so we're a little bit over. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks, everyone. We had quite a few people stop by. I imagine Carson's a big draw, so we'll have to have you on here again.
Oh, this platform's great, man. So I was able to set up like a restreaming to the 3D Joe's YouTube and Facebook pages. So hopefully that brought some folks in too. That's really convenient software. I've never been on another podcast that right when I'm coming in the door says, do you want to also share it to yours? And I'm like, yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
You know, amplify it.
Well, thank you. Sweet.
My pleasure, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
All right. So goodbye, everyone. Carson, stick around. We're going to chit chat for a couple minutes after. But that's it. So thanks, everybody. And we'll catch you next time.
Yo, Joe.
And see everybody at JOEFEST.